Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into the hidden world of thermodynamics to solve a paradox that governs everything from a simple ice cube to the incredible strength of modern steel. It's a story all about an invisible force that shapes our world in ways we almost never see.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a paradox. And to really get it, we first have to talk about a rule that, honestly, we all think we know. A bit of common sense that explains how things spread out.
You've seen this idea everywhere. It's why a drop of ink slowly spreads out in a glass of water, or why the smell of your morning coffee doesn't just stay in the mug. It fills the whole room. Things move from where there's a lot of them to where there's less of them. Seems pretty simple, right?
Yeah, it feels like it should be a fundamental rule of the universe. But here's the kicker. A super common, everyday situation just completely breaks this rule, and it shows us that there's something way deeper going on.
Just picture this. You take a totally pure freshwater ice cube and you plop it into the salty ocean. You have a massive concentration of salt in the water and literally zero salt in the ice. Now, if Fick's law was the whole story, salt should just flood from the ocean into the ice cube to even things out. But it doesn't. The ice stays pure. So what gives? Clearly, there's got to be some other, more powerful force running the show.
So the answer isn't about concentration at all, it's about energy. And to get to the bottom of this, we need to look at processes that you just can't undo, because those are always driven by a loss of energy. Energy you can't just get back for free.
Think about a piston in a cylinder. In some perfect fantasy world with zero friction, you could push it in and it'd pop right back out, giving you all that energy back. But we live in the real world, and in the real world, there's always friction. Every time you push, a little bit of that energy is lost as heat, and you can't use that heat to push the piston back. It's gone. That's an irreversible process.
And it turns out nature has this universal rule for these kinds of processes. For anything to happen, you need a driving force that causes a flux, which is really just a fancy word for a flow. And this whole action always costs energy. In fact, the product of that force and the resulting flow tells you exactly how fast energy is being lost.
And you see this beautiful pattern everywhere. In electricity, right? Voltage, that's the force, drives an electrical current, that's the flux. In heat transfer, a difference in temperature is the force that drives a flow of heat, the flux. So for our diffusion puzzle, if concentration isn't the true force, then what is?
Well, here's the big reveal. We've been looking at the wrong thing this whole time. Concentration. It's just a symptom. The real driver of diffusion is an incredibly powerful concept from thermodynamics called chemical potential.
The best way to wrap your head around chemical potential is to think of it as an atom's energy level, or maybe its discomfort level in whatever environment it's in. It has nothing to do with how many atoms are packed into a space. It's all about how much energy each individual atom has, how uncomfortable it is in that specific spot.
And this is the key insight. This is the rule that replaces our flawed common sense. Atoms don't actually care about spreading out evenly. Nope, what they really want to do is equalize their chemical potential. Like everything else in the universe, they want to move from a high-energy state to a low-energy one. They're just trying to get comfortable.
And boom! This solves our salty paradox. At the freezing point, it turns out the water molecules in the salty ocean have the exact same chemical potential, the same energy level as the water molecules in the pure ice. They're in perfect balance. They are equally comfortable right where they are. And if there's no energy difference, well, there's no driving force. No force, no flow, no diffusion. Paradox solved.
Okay, so this whole chemical potential thing works great for a simple ice cube. But what happens when we take this powerful new understanding and apply it to a much more complex puzzle? Let's take it to the fiery world of steelmaking. So when hot steel cools, its internal crystal structure has to completely transform. And this isn't just a simple change. It's like a really complex, coordinated dance between two very different kinds of atoms mixed in with the iron. You've got these tiny, nimble carbon atoms, and then you've got these much larger, more sluggish manganese atoms.
And when I say their speed is different, I mean it is absolutely staggering. The little carbon atoms can zip through the iron lattice with incredible speed. The manganese atoms, though, they're about 100 million times slower. 100 million! They barely even move in comparison.
This presents a massive problem. The transformation happens at a single, moving boundary, and for that boundary to advance, both the carbon and the manganese have to get out of the way. So how on earth can one single process be governed by two participants moving at such wildly different speeds? It just seems impossible.
The solution, driven by those same laws of thermodynamics, is just elegant.
The steel doesn't follow one rigid rule. Depending on the conditions, it naturally uses one of two distinct strategies to solve this speed mismatch problem.
Here are steel's two brilliant solutions. At higher temperatures, the system goes for the slow and steady approach. Think of it like a gentle hill. It actually reduces the energy drop for the fast-moving carbon, basically putting the brakes on it so that the slow manganese can keep up. But at much lower temperatures, it switches to fast and sharp. Here, it creates a massive energy cliff right at the boundary, which gives the manganese this huge incentive to take that one crucial step just when it needs to.
So you might be asking, how does the steel choose which way to go? Well, the amazing part is, it doesn't. There's no decision being made. Based on the temperature and the alloy's composition, the laws of thermodynamics just dictate that only one of these paths is really possible. The steel simply follows the path of least resistance that's available to it.
So from a salty ice cube all the way to the heart of a steel mill, the real driving force isn't just about things spreading out. It's about energy finding its lowest, most comfortable state. So the next time you see something that seems stable and unchanging, just ask yourself, is it because nothing is moving, or is it because the invisible forces of energy are holding each other in a perfect, dynamic balance?